What do you do if you're ashamed for not being poly enough or doing poly wrong? This is Matie Fricker from selfservetoys.com. Hunter Riley, who works at Self-Serve and has hunterrileysexeducation.com. And I'm Cathy Bartoli from theintimacydojo.com. So what have you noticed about people being poly-shamed?
It's happened to me. Maybe I've done it to other people. You know, it's really weird when we break apart all the rules and then we put them back together. We can sometimes still create really strong hierarchy of like the right way to be.
I'm more poly than you, so therefore I'm cooler.
Yeah. Right.
And you're like, not the Hunter is, but if you were monogamous.
Right.
Oh, that's not really cool or evolved.
Right. Well, and it's funny that you mentioned hierarchy too, because there's a thing where, you know, it's like people who are into relationship anarchy, oftentimes, my experience of it has been is that like they're the real poly people.
Yes.
You know, but then like people who do hierarchy are like not poly enough. And so it's this weird thing of like, how do you figure out what your specific brand and flavor of non-monogamy is, and then how do you own that, you know? And
or you might be monogamous and you're still
cool.
Right,
exactly. And that's still cool too. Right, exactly. And so it's just a bummer when, like Matie said, you kind of break down the rules and then you kind of build it all back up again, and there's still all this shame in it, and there's still all this, you know, this is the right way, this is the wrong way.
Yeah.
And so I think what I do for me is I kind of need to sit down and think about, okay, you know, what are my needs? What are my partner's needs? And if we have other partners, what are those people's needs? But mostly, how can we be ethical about all of that?
Yes.
Right? So it comes down to, are you being ethical? You know?
And consensual.
Yeah, ethical, consensual, and are you meeting the needs of the people involved? And, you know, there's a lot of, like, bad talking, like swingers in non-monogamy community. And I'm like, swingers don't have to be, you know, this way. They don't have to be unethical. They don't have to be detached. You know, there's a lot of really amazing swingers who love their partners, you know, and again, it's like, are you putting it out there in a way where you're saying, hey, here's what I can offer you. You know, I can't offer that we're going to live together in 2 years. I can't offer that I can spend, you know, every night with you next week, you know, but I can offer this. And if that's not a good fit for you, please take care of yourself and don't get involved with me.
Right.
Like, let's not get involved with each other, because I can't offer you what you need. And so then you're going to leave feeling hurt. I'm going to leave feeling like an asshole because I didn't do these things that you needed. Maybe we didn't know you needed them. Who knows? But just not assuming that, you know, well, there's only one right way to do polyamory and it's my way.
Right.
Yeah, or you feel like there's a right way to do polyamory, and no matter what, it's not the way you're doing it.
Yeah.
You know, so it's very aspirational. Like if I was really poly, I wouldn't be jealous.
I'd have 15 partners, and it would all be cool.
Everyone would be cool. We'd all be sitting together having game nights. Like the way that they're having poly is the way I want it.
And all my lovers will like all their metamors, and they'll all like each other.
And we're gonna be in a triad, and we're gonna live together. And like that's not it. That's not it right now. So I'm doing poly wrong. And I think that a lot of times it's really easy to feel shame about the way we live our lives. And for me, I call myself baby poly. I'm like new poly right now in a really conscious way at this moment in my life. And sometimes people who've been around the block a lot are really clear with me about like, you know, well, later you'll know. And I think that's also like sad too, to create this like, well, if you haven't been doing this for 15 years, you don't know what you're doing. And I'm like, sure, but you could be doing this for 15 years and get a new relationship and not know what you're doing with that person. And so, you know, just really trying to like let go of that expectation in our communities that there's a right way. And often when people are pointing at each other saying you're not doing it right, it's really speaks more to their judgment, and so it speaks more about them than it does about us.
Well, and it locks everybody in. If there's the best way to do it, then you're kind of locked into that space. And our desires and our needs change, and we may meet someone who brings out something else in us. And if we're locked into one thing, we're never getting to explore or be present with ourselves.
Ooh, I have an idea. Who here has felt like they aren't doing poly right?
and I don't identify as polyamorous only because I like the term non-monogamous or open better only because of this culture in polyamory communities is like, well, you're not really poly enough, you know, and because at this point in my life, I like to do things with my partner. We kind of like come as a package deal, and that works really. That's not really poly, and so I actually very specifically don't identify as polyamorous because it just makes me, because when people are like, well, you're not really poly, and I'm like, well, you don't get to tell me what I am, and like I really try hard to be ethical with everybody and let people know what they're getting involved with, and then we can go from there.
I think I speak for all of us, and correct me if I'm wrong, if you're talking to your partner and you're consensual and ethical about things, you're doing the relationship great.
That's a win. That's
yeah.
a good day.
And you might mess up sometimes,
Yeah.
and that's okay too. And your style of non-monogamy might change, you know. So it can be fluid, and you get like sometimes you will mess up, and sometimes you'll do something that's unethical because most of us will, and
Yeah.
like that's just something
Let's
that we have
come
to
back and do another
Yeah.
video about cleaning stuff up because
Yes.
it's so important.
Yeah.
So let us know what you think. What's your style, and have you ever felt like you've done it wrong?
Awesome, thanks.
Congratulations on taking this time for yourself and learning these things. If you'd like to follow more of this, you can subscribe to my channel here. Social media is up here, and there's more videos of this type here. See you soon.